Imagine standing at the edge of a winding dirt trail where the horizon melts into rugged mountains and the only sound is the distant hum of anticipation. You can feel the tension between freedom and control as your eyes trace a path that dares you to follow it. This is where precision meets possibility, where the unknown invites courage, and every curve in the road holds a promise of discovery. The machine waiting here isn't just about wheels and metal. It's about whether modern engineering can truly capture the spirit of exploration while balancing power with reliability. Riders everywhere are searching for that blend of endurance, agility, and trust. And in this moment, the stakes couldn't be higher, because the answer could redefine what it means to chase adventure itself. If you enjoy deep dives into stories like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below with the machine you want to see covered next. The Suzuki GSX-8TT arrived not as an incremental update, but as a bold statement, setting out to redefine what a middleweight adventure motorcycle could be. Within just a few miles of riding, it becomes clear that this machine is engineered to be a cornerstone rather than a placeholder. Adventure bikes occupy a unique role. They must balance the agility of a street bike with the rugged endurance of an off-road companion, and the GSX-8TT embraces that dual identity. Early impressions center not only on its engine but on the entire design philosophy, signaling Suzuki's decision to step forward rather than blend into the pack. And in that choice lies the question: can this motorcycle truly deliver on the expectations of riders who demand both adventure and practicality? The stage is set for deeper exploration. Microstory. The first impression of the GSX-8TT is not about numbers on a spec sheet, but the feel of how it responds to the rider's input. The throttle delivers torque with a smooth but eager pull, suggesting strength without losing refinement. For many, that sensation creates instant confidence, the kind of trust that's essential when venturing onto unfamiliar terrain. Suzuki designed the parallel twin engine not just for raw output, but for the predictable, usable performance that matters when conditions shift suddenly. It's in this nuanced approach that the machine separates itself from earlier efforts, establishing a fresh standard. Microstory, beyond performance. The GSX-8TT reveals its character in the way it's built for long-haul comfort without compromising adventure readiness. The seat and riding triangle are designed for extended days in the saddle, while still allowing quick transitions when standing on the pegs off-road. This reflects Suzuki's awareness of a rider's needs on journeys that span more than one type of terrain. Riders may not notice the engineering choices at first glance, but hours into a ride, the subtle differences define whether fatigue sets in or freedom expands. Microstory. Another aspect that emerges quickly is how the GSX-8TT handles weight distribution. The compact parallel twin allows a narrower chassis, and that translates to agility in both tight corners and slow technical sections. The choice to go with this layout wasn't simply about keeping up with rivals. It was about creating a platform flexible enough to meet the demands of modern adventure riders. The motorcycle invites both newcomers and veterans, a deliberate widening of the audience without sacrificing depth for experts. This balance, though, is easier to describe than to achieve in practice. Context digest. Adventure motorcycles of the past often leaned heavily toward one extreme, either favoring rugged off-road capabilities at the expense of comfort, or prioritizing touring amenities while barely tolerating gravel roads. The GSX-8TT represents a recalibration of this formula. By focusing on a carefully tuned suspension and a weight that's manageable for most riders, Suzuki signals a shift toward accessibility. This is not a machine that demands years of specialized experience. It's one that invites people to grow with it, a crucial distinction in today's expanding market. Context digest. The decision to create a completely new engine platform for the GSX-8TT carries strategic weight. Suzuki could have reworked an existing design, but instead chose to start fresh. This bold move underlines the brand's recognition that the adventure market is no longer niche, but central to global demand. By building a parallel twin that promises both character and practicality, Suzuki positions itself not just to compete, but to shape the direction of its lineup for years to come. Context digest. While riders often talk about horsepower and torque, the real story lies in how the GSX-8TT packages these elements into everyday usability. The throttle response, engine braking, and vibration control are tuned for a balance that prevents fatigue while still providing excitement. This engineering choice is critical for US riders who expect a motorcycle to handle not just weekend trails, but long stretches of highway. In other words, Suzuki aims for a holistic experience rather than chasing peak numbers. Reflection bridge. The GSX-8TT doesn't just step into the arena. It reframes what the competition looks like by presenting adventure riding as accessible without being watered down. That approach deserves closer inspection. The GSX-8TT's foundation is clear, but the next step is to examine how its deeper engineering choices and market positioning elevate it beyond first impressions. And that's where the story continues. The Suzuki GSX-8TT enters its next layer of story when we look beyond the first impressions and into the deliberate engineering and strategic decisions that shaped it. Within moments of examining its frame and technology, the rationale behind Suzuki's approach begins to emerge. Unlike other motorcycles that chase only peak power or extreme ruggedness, the GSX-8TT is built around the idea of balance, where every component, from the chassis geometry to the engine's crank design, supports a riding experience that's equal parts excitement and control. By naming this model as their dedicated adventure twin, Suzuki signals more than a technical milestone. It signals intent to reposition itself in one of the most competitive segments in motorcycling today. Micro story. The GSX-8TT's 270-degree crankshaft is a standout choice. And while numbers can feel abstract, its effect is instantly tangible to anyone who rides it. This configuration gives the engine a character reminiscent of a V-twin, with pulses that create better traction on loose terrain. Riders often describe it as feeling more natural under the rear wheel, particularly when climbing or descending uneven trails. This design choice is not an accident. It's a calculated step to build a machine that feels intuitive in unpredictable environments. Microstory. Another defining characteristic of the GSX-8TT lies in its frame and suspension tuning. The steel backbone frame provides both durability and flex, absorbing punishment without losing feedback. Paired with long travel suspension designed to balance highway smoothness with trail resilience, the setup reflects Suzuki's understanding that riders in the US will face everything from pothole-ridden city streets to rocky fire roads. It's a machine engineered to be at home wherever its rider points it, without forcing compromise at either end of the spectrum. Microstory. Electronics play a subtle yet crucial role in the GSX-8TT's overall experience. From selectable ride modes to traction control systems, these features are designed not to overwhelm but to quietly extend confidence. For newer adventure riders, these systems offer a safety net. For experienced ones, they provide just enough customization to match terrain and riding style. The key lies in execution. Suzuki avoided gimmicks, instead focusing on making electronics feel like natural extensions of the rider's decisions. This restraint may prove to be one of the model's most enduring strengths. Context digest. The US adventure motorcycle market is rapidly diversifying, with riders demanding machines that can perform on multi-day journeys while still being manageable during daily commutes. The GSX-8TT enters this landscape as a fresh alternative, designed to appeal to both the seasoned long-haul adventurer and the newcomer seeking a first real taste of off-road capability. This dual appeal is no accident. It is central to Suzuki's market strategy. Context digest. Durability is another piece of the puzzle. Adventure riders expect their machines to survive falls, weather, and extended miles with minimal trouble. By designing the GSX-8TT from scratch, Suzuki was able to integrate durability into every stage, rather than patch weaknesses from older designs. Strong subframes, resilient plastics, and straightforward maintenance access all point toward a machine that understands the demands of ownership beyond glossy brochures. Context digest. Economics matter too, especially in the US middleweight segment, where riders often weigh affordability as heavily as performance. The GSX-8TT is positioned to provide value without feeling stripped down, a calculated play that could attract those who might otherwise hesitate to enter the adventure category. Its price-to-capability ratio may prove as influential as its spec sheet, particularly in an era where many riders are seeking versatile, do-it-all machines. Reflection bridge. The GSX-8TT's strengths aren't just in what it delivers, but in how it reshapes expectations. And that raises the ultimate question. What will its long-term impact be on Suzuki's identity and on the broader adventure market? From here, the story shifts from engineering and positioning into the broader consequences of what this motorcycle represents for riders, the brand, and the segment at large. The 1979 Chrysler Cordoba 318 carried its identity into the new decade with the burden of knowing the world around it was shifting faster than its vinyl roof could shelter. Within the first 30 words of describing the Cordoba 318, it's clear that this coupe symbolized more than transportation. It embodied the final expression of a uniquely American desire for attainable luxury. By the early 1980s, however, the world was ready for smaller, sharper, more efficient designs, and the Cordoba's wide stance and soft ride felt increasingly like relics. Microstory. Imagine an owner in 1982 polishing the chrome of a Cordoba 318 on a Saturday afternoon. The car still turned heads, still whispered promises of success, but on the same street a neighbor might have parked something smaller, newer, more efficient. The owner felt both pride and nostalgia, realizing that the Cordoba now represented a lifestyle fading from the mainstream. It wasn't irrelevant. It was simply of another time. Microstory, Chrysler itself was forced to evolve. The Cordoba 318 had once been a lifeline, generating sales when the company needed them most. But the tide of consumer preference demanded new directions. The coupe's plush interior and steadfast V8, while beloved, couldn't compete indefinitely with the lure of efficiency and modernity. For Chrysler, the lesson was clear. Luxury could not stand alone without adapting to practical realities. Microstory. Among enthusiasts today, the Cordoba 318 occupies a fascinating place. It isn't remembered as the fastest or the rarest, but as one of the last cars to fully embrace the personal luxury philosophy. Owners cherish them not just as vehicles, but as artifacts of a cultural mood, the final notes of a symphony played before the industry moved on to a different song. Context digest. The legacy of the Cordoba 318 rests on three pillars: accessibility, aspiration, and identity. It allowed middle-class Americans to experience a touch of prestige at a time when status mattered deeply. It connected emotional desire with mechanical reality in a way that imports and compacts of the time rarely attempted. This positioning explains why it is still remembered with affection, even by those who acknowledge its limitations. Context digest. In the grand timeline of American cars, the Cordoba 318 represents a bridge between excess and restraint. Its dimensions and comfort spoke to the indulgent 70s, while its manageable engine and marketing hinted at a future of pragmatism. That duality makes it a fascinating study in transition. A car caught between two eras, never fully belonging to either, yet leaving fingerprints on both. Context digest. For collectors and hobbyists, the Cordoba 318 has gained a quiet cult following. Its availability and relative affordability make it an approachable classic, while its unmistakable styling secures it a place at shows and gatherings. Nostalgia fuels its appeal, but so does the recognition that it marked the end of something, an era when personal luxury defined driveways across America. Reflection bridge. The story of the Cordoba 318 closes not with a downfall, but with a reminder of how tastes change and how cars reflect the society that builds them. And so we return to the heart of this narrative. What does the Cordoba 318 mean now, and how should we remember its impact? The Suzuki GSX-8TT is more than just a new entry in the adventure category. It is a carefully calculated expression of what Suzuki believes the modern rider wants, and within its design lies a statement about the evolving definition of freedom. By placing a parallel twin at its heart and surrounding it with a chassis designed for balance, durability, and adaptability, the GSX-8TT delivers a motorcycle that is as welcoming to newcomers as it is rewarding to seasoned riders. This matters for US audiences, where ownership often extends beyond weekend escapes to include commuting, cross-country trips, and everything in between. In this landscape, the GSX-8TT demonstrates that one motorcycle really can do it all without feeling compromised. From a cultural standpoint, the GSX-8TT's impact may reach far beyond sales figures. Adventure riding in America has traditionally been viewed as a pursuit for specialists, but this machine changes that perception by lowering barriers while preserving authenticity. Riders can imagine themselves not just exploring distant trails, but also weaving the motorcycle into daily life. This inclusivity is powerful. It expands the conversation around what it means to ride and who gets to participate. Economically, the GSX-8TT arrives at a time when affordability is just as important as aspiration. Many riders in the US want a machine that feels premium without requiring them to overextend financially, and the GSX-8TT provides precisely that balance. By offering performance and technology without bloating the price tag, Suzuki ensures that adventure is within reach of a wider audience. That decision could prove decisive in shaping the market's future, especially as more riders look for practicality alongside excitement. From a legacy perspective, the GSX-8TT stands poised to become a cornerstone of Suzuki's identity moving forward. Its success could encourage further development of parallel twin platforms, influencing not only the adventure segment, but potentially touring and sport categories as well. And should it achieve long-term recognition, it may be remembered as the motorcycle that repositioned Suzuki from being a follower to once again being seen as a leader. For US riders, the ownership reality of the GSX-8TT blends aspiration with reassurance. It's a bike that invites exploration while promising reliability, that offers thrills without overwhelming complexity, and that balances practicality with the excitement of discovery. Over time, these qualities are what create loyalty and transform machines into legends. The GSX-8TT is not simply a motorcycle for today, it is a blueprint for how Suzuki intends to serve riders tomorrow. In the end, the Suzuki GSX-8TT embodies a new philosophy of adventure, accessible, balanced, and forward-looking. It challenges old assumptions while offering something refreshingly complete. And if history is kind, it may be remembered not just as a motorcycle that joined the adventure race, but as the one that redefined it.